General Hospital. The moment of truth. Dante's investigation leads to Michael's shocking arrest. The investigation intensifies. The Port Charles Police Department had been working around the clock since Drew Cain was shot twice in the back at his own home. Detective Dante Falconeri, alongside Anna Devane and Harrison Chase, had compiled an extensive list of suspects. Practically half of Port Charles had motive to want Drew dead. From his political corruption to his personal betrayals, Drew had made countless enemies. But as the investigation progressed, all roads seemed to lead back to one person, Michael Corinthos. Dante's methodical approach to the case had been paying off. He had questioned numerous suspects, including Alexis Davis, Nina Reeves, and Curtis Ashford. But each interview only served to strengthen the case against Michael. The evidence was mounting, and Drew himself, despite being the victim, was actively pointing investigators toward his nephew. From his hospital bed, Drew had been vocal about his suspicions, repeatedly telling anyone who would listen that Michael was the shooter. The breakthrough came when Dante discovered that Michael had been seen near Drew's house. On the night of the shooting, Tracy Quartermain had reluctantly revealed this crucial information. Though she had initially tried to protect Michael by keeping the secret, her conscience ultimately won out, and she provided the testimony that would seal Michael's fate. Drew's calculated manipulation. What made this case particularly complex was Drew's own involvement in directing the investigation. Despite being the victim, Drew had been orchestrating events from his hospital bed with ruthless precision. He saw the shooting as an opportunity to eliminate Michael, as an obstacle to his relationship with Willow and his custody ambitions for Wiley and Amelia. Drew's plan was diabolical in its simplicity. He would use his position as the victim to influence the investigation, ensuring that all evidence pointed toward Michael. Regardless of whether Michael was actually guilty, Drew had been planting seeds of suspicion about Michael's violent tendencies and his desperation over the custody battle. He painted a picture of a man pushed to the edge, willing to commit murder to prevent Drew from helping Willow regain custody of her children. The congressman's manipulation extended beyond just the police investigation. He had been working to position himself as Willow's only ally and protector, the one person who could help her get her children back. Every conversation with law enforcement was carefully crafted to build the case against Michael, while simultaneously painting himself as an innocent victim of his nephew's rage. The evidence mounts against Michael. As Dante's investigation progressed, the circumstantial evidence against Michael became overwhelming. Michael had motive. He despised Drew for manipulating Willow and interfering in his family. He had opportunity. Tracy had placed him at the scene around the time of the shooting, and his behavior since the incident had been suspicious, including his attempts to secure an alibi through questionable means. The investigation revealed that Michael had been tracking Drew's movements and had made several threatening statements about his uncle in the weeks leading up to the shooting. Witnesses came forward describing Michael's increasingly erratic behavior and his obsession with protecting his children from Drew's influence. The pattern painted a picture of a man who had reached his breaking point. When Dante questioned Michael directly, his responses only seemed to make him look more guilty. His explanations for being near Drew's house were vague and unconvincing. His attempts to establish an alibi through a woman named Jacinda raised even more red flags. About his credibility, every answer seemed to dig him deeper into a hole of suspicion. The arrest. The moment everyone had been dreading finally arrived. Armed with a warrant and a mountain of circumstantial evidence, Dante made the difficult decision to arrest his own brother-in-law. The arrest took place at the Port Charles Grill, where Michael had been meeting with potential alibi witness Jacinda, making the situation even more humiliating and public. "Michael Corinthos, you're under arrest for the attempted murder of Drew Cain," Dante announced, his voice heavy with the weight of family loyalty conflicting with professional duty. The shock on Michael's face was genuine. He had been expecting questions, but not handcuffs. The other patrons of the restaurant watched in stunned silence as one of Port Charles' most prominent citizens was led away in custody. The arrest sent shockwaves through the Corinthos family and the entire community. Carly was devastated, while Sonny immediately began working his connections to secure the best legal representation for his son. The Quartermain family was split, with some members rallying to Michael's defense while others questioned whether they had truly known him at all. Willow's desperate gambit. News of Michael's arrest reached Willow at General Hospital, where she had been anxiously waiting for updates on Drew's condition. The irony was not lost on her. The father of her children was now facing life in prison for allegedly trying to kill the man she had been engaged to. Her world was crumbling around her. and she could see her chances of ever getting Wiley and Amelia back slipping away entirely. In a moment of pure desperation, Willow made a decision that would have seemed impossible just weeks earlier. She rushed to Drew's hospital room, where he was recovering from his gunshot wounds, and made an offer that shocked even him. Falling to her knees beside his bed, tears streaming down her face, she begged him to help Michael. "Drew, please," she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "I know you have influence with the police. I know you can help clear Michael if you want to. I'm begging you, don't let them destroy him for something he didn't do." Drew's response was calculated and cold. He had been waiting for this moment, knowing that Willow's desperation would eventually drive her back to him. "What are you offering, Willow?" he asked, his eyes never leaving her face. "What are you willing to do to save Michael?" "The marriage proposal." Willow's answer came without hesitation, born from a mother's desperation to save her children's father and secure their future. "I'll marry you," she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I'll be your wife. I'll give you everything you want. Just please, help Michael. He's the father of my children. They need him." Drew's smile was triumphant, but carefully restrained. This was exactly what he had been maneuvering toward from the beginning. "Are you sure about this, Willow? Marriage is a serious commitment. I would expect complete loyalty, complete devotion. No more pining for Michael, no more looking back." "Yes," Willow replied immediately, her voice stronger now that she had made the decision. "I'll marry you, Drew. I'll be the wife you want me to be. Just save Michael from this nightmare." Drew reached out and took her hand, his touch possessive and sure. "All right, Willow. I'll see what I can do. But understand, once we're married, there's no going back. You'll be mine completely, and I'll expect you to honor the commitment." The devil's bargain. What Willow didn't realize was that Drew had been orchestrating events to reach exactly this point. His plan to frame Michael had been designed not just to eliminate a rival, but to force Willow into a position where she would have no choice but to come back to him. The shooting, while real, had provided him with the perfect opportunity to manipulate the situation to his advantage. Drew's promise to help Michael was genuine in its own twisted way. He did have influence with the investigation, primarily because he had been directing it from the beginning, by strategically withholding certain information or providing new evidence that could cast doubt on Michael's guilt. He could indeed help clear his nephew's name, but the price would be Willow's complete surrender to his will. The arrangement represented everything dark about Drew's character: his willingness to destroy lives to get what he wanted, his complete lack of moral boundaries, and his obsessive need to possess Willow at any cost. He had turned her love for her children and her compassion for Michael into weapons against her, trapping her in a web of obligation and desperation, a love built on manipulation. As Drew agreed to help Michael, he couldn't hide his satisfaction at finally getting what he had always wanted. Willow would be his wife, bound to him not by love, but by necessity and desperation. It wasn't the romantic victory he might have dreamed of, but it was victory nonetheless. "I still love you, Willow," he said softly, bringing her hand to his lips. "I never stopped loving you, not even when you walked away. This time, I'll make sure we have everything we need to be happy together. Your children will come home, Michael will be free, and we'll be a family." Willow nodded, though her heart was breaking. She was sacrificing her own happiness and freedom to save the people she loved, entering into a marriage based on blackmail and manipulation. But as a mother, she felt she had no choice. Her children needed their father, and if marrying Drew was the price of Michael's freedom, she would pay it. The investigation takes a new turn. With Willow's agreement secured, Drew immediately began working to influence the case against Michael. He started by providing new memories of the shooting, suggesting that perhaps the shooter had been wearing different clothing than initially described, or that there might have been multiple people involved. These subtle changes in his testimony would create reasonable doubt about Michael's guilt. Drew also began reaching out to his political connections, using his influence as a congressman to pressure for a more thorough investigation. He suggested that the shooting might have been connected to his political work, rather than personal vendettas, opening up new avenues for the defense to explore. The investigation began to shift as Drew's new information cast doubt on the timeline and circumstances of the shooting. Other suspects who had been dismissed began to look more viable as the evidence against Michael started to seem less conclusive. Dante found himself questioning his own conclusions as his key witness. The victim himself began providing conflicting information. Conclusion: a dark victory. As the dust settled on this dramatic turn of events, Drew had achieved everything he had been working toward. Michael's arrest had been the catalyst that drove Willow back into his arms, and now she was committed to marrying him regardless of her true feelings. His manipulation of the investigation would likely result in Michael's eventual release, but not before Willow had bound herself to him through marriage. The tragedy of the situation was that Willow, in her desperation to save her family, had walked directly into Drew's trap. Her noble intentions and maternal instincts had been weaponized against her, forcing her to choose between her own happiness and the welfare of those she loved. In agreeing to marry Drew, she had saved Michael, but condemned herself to a life with a man who had orchestrated this entire nightmare. Drew's victory was complete, but it was built on a foundation of lies, manipulation, and emotional blackmail. He would have Willow as his wife, but their marriage would be haunted by the knowledge of how it came to be. For Willow, every day of their life together would be a reminder of the price she had paid to protect her family, and for Drew, every moment of happiness would be tainted by the knowledge that it had been achieved through cruelty and deception. Next, we dive deep into the heart-pounding drama of Port Charles. Today, we're unpacking the explosive weekly spoilers for September 15 through 19, 2025, a stretch of episodes packed with emotional upheavals, shocking revelations, and family tensions that could reshape alliances forever. Let's kick things off with Jason Morgan, the stoic enforcer who's always juggling loyalty and chaos. After ensuring Britt Westburn's safe return to her world, Jason shifts his focus inward, confronting the tangled web of his personal life and fractured family ties. Fresh from a heated confrontation with Anna Devane, where old grudges and unspoken accusations flew like daggers, he heads back to the opulent Quartermain mansion. There, amid the grandeur of marble floors and whispered secrets, Jason must deliver some truly devastating news that hangs over the household like a storm cloud. This somber announcement ripples through the family, prompting an unexpected tender exchange between Jason and the sharp-tongued Tracy Quartermain. In this rare moment of vulnerability, Tracy's usual sarcasm gives way to genuine empathy, sparking Jason to ponder his past decisions, the risks he's taken, the lives he's endangered, and the paths not chosen. Could this heavy-hearted update involve Monica Quartermain, who's been battling a mysterious illness in the seclusion of her bedroom for over a year now? Whispers around Port Charles suggest her condition might have taken a dire turn, perhaps involving a sudden complication from her long-term health struggles, like a hidden infection or a relapse that no one saw coming. Adding fuel to the speculation, Elizabeth Weber steps in with her own grim tidings for Drew Kane, delivering a blow that feels like confirmation of the worst fears. Elizabeth, ever the compassionate nurse with a history of her own heartbreaks, approaches Drew with eyes full of sorrow, hinting at a loss that could bind or break the Quartermain clan. This news might revolve around Monica's fading strength, perhaps a doctor's prognosis that forces Drew to confront his role in the family. Amid his own recent turmoils, including political ambitions and romantic entanglements, the air thickens with uncertainty, leaving viewers to wonder if this is the catalyst for Drew to step up or spiral further into doubt. Shifting gears to the fiery Westburn-Obrecht dynamic, Britt finds herself blindsided by the raw fury of her mother, Liesl Obrecht. Britt had anticipated some backlash for orchestrating her elaborate fake death scheme, born from desperation to escape threats and start anew, but nothing prepared her for the stinging slap across the face in the midst of Nina Reeves' stylish living room. The room, adorned with sleek modern furniture and soft lighting that now feels oppressively dim, becomes the battleground for a mother-daughter showdown filled with accusations and tears. Liesl, her eyes blazing with betrayal, unleashes a torrent of pent-up rage, questioning how Britt could vanish without a trace, leaving her to grieve what she believed was a permanent loss. Britt, defensive yet remorseful, counters with explanations of the danger she faced, perhaps elaborating on shadowy enemies from her past medical scandals or underground dealings that forced her hand. As the argument escalates, Nina, caught in the crossfire while trying to play peacemaker, finally reaches her breaking point. Overwhelmed by the chaos invading her personal space, Maeve flashbacks to her own deceptions and family estrangements. Nian snaps, demanding silence or perhaps even ejecting them to sort it out elsewhere. The big questions loom. Will Liesl find it in her heart to empathize with Britt's perilous choices, understanding the maternal instincts that mirror her own protective ferocity? Conversely, can Britt grasp the depth of her mother's pain, the nights of mourning, and the void left by a presumed dead child? By week's end, Britt takes a humbling step, swallowing her pride in a gesture that could mend fence, perhaps an apology laced with promises of transparency, or even a vow to rebuild their bond through shared secrets about Liesel's own checkered history. With espionage and villainy, this reconciliation arc adds layers to their relationship, exploring themes of forgiveness in a town where grudges often outlive the grudge holders. On the investigative front, Anna Devane, the seasoned spy with a knack for unraveling conspiracies, uncovers a fresh lead that points to an unexpected suspect lurking in the shadows of Port Charles. With her trademark determination, she drags this individual in for intense questioning, probing for cracks in their alibi amid a web of motives tied to recent crimes. Imagine Anna in a dimly lit interrogation room, her voice steady but laced with suspicion, as she pieces together timelines that could expose hidden agendas. Meanwhile, Marco Rios turns his scrutiny toward Jens Sidwell, grilling him about the circumstances surrounding Drew Kane's shocking shooting gun event that left the community reeling and alliances fractured. Marco, perhaps drawing on his own experiences with betrayal, pushes Jens for details on accomplices or overlooked clues, like a suspicious vehicle spotted near the scene or encrypted messages hinting at a larger plot. Adding to the detective synergy, Harrison Chase and Dante Falconeri huddle to compare notes on potential culprits, their conversation buzzing with theories about motives ranging from corporate sabotage to personal vendettas. Do they connect the dots to a breakthrough, perhaps identifying a common thread like a forged document or a witness's inconsistent story? Then there's Kai Taylor, who stumbles upon a startling epiphany that sends chills down his spine. In a moment of clarity, he recalls a grave error, leaving behind a baseball bat smeared with his fingerprints in Drew's living room after a heated altercation. This oversight, born from panic or arrogance, could be his undoing, especially if forensic teams link it to the violence. Kai's realization might unfold in a tense solo scene, where he paces anxiously, weighing options like retrieving the evidence or fleeing town, all while flashbacks reveal his impulsive nature and simmering resentments. As the week builds to its climax, other Port Charles residents step into the spotlight with their own compelling subplots. Lulu Spencer, ever the heroic journalist with a heart of gold, springs into action to aid an accident victim, perhaps using her quick thinking to administer first aid or call for help. Amid a chaotic roadside mishap, this act of kindness could tie into her ongoing recovery from her coma, showcasing her resilience and perhaps sparking a new connection with the grateful stranger. Joe Palmieri, the ambitious newcomer navigating the town's power plays, approaches Sonny Corinthos with a bold request for a favor Mabe, seeking protection from emerging threats or an introduction to influential circles, testing Sonny's willingness to extend his empire's reach. Danny Morgan, Jason's young son grappling with his father's dangerous lifestyle, issues an emotional plea, possibly begging for stability or urging Jason to prioritize family over peril, adding a poignant layer to the Morgan legacy. Finally, Lucas Jones opens his soul to Ava Jerome in a candid conversation, sharing vulnerabilities about his medical career, romantic heartaches, or family pressures, forging an unlikely alliance with Ava's cunning yet empathetic ear. These threads weave together to create a tapestry of drama, where every choice echoes through the lives of those in Port Charles. There you have it, fans, another riveting week on General Hospital that promises tears, twists, and triumphs. Stay tuned to our channel for more spoilers, recaps, and fan discussions. What do you think will happen next? Drop your predictions in the comments below.